Okay, this is cs952 Introduction to Web Technologies and Design. And we're going to do a little work on our web page. We're going to add our hero image. You remember you created your hero image in week 3. It's the big main image that really says what your website is all about. And then after that, we're going to add a bootstrap component called the Jumbotron. And inside the Jumbotron, we're going to add an HTML element called the block quote. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our index.html page. Now so far, our index.html page is pretty much the same as all the other pages that we have, except that we did give it a title of home. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to add a div inside of our HTML page, and a div is just basically a multi-purpose box to hold whatever. So I'm in code view right now. We're looking at code view, and I'm going to scroll down and notice that all the code is grayed out, and that's because this code is all locked. We can't do any editing because this is a page created from the template. The only place that we can do any editing is inside of the editable region that we created, and right now we have some placeholder content that says main content. So we don't need that any longer. We can get rid of that. And there's you can either double click on the word main content, or in the status bar you can click on this instance editable, and that will also highlight the main content. So I've got that highlighted. I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard, and it deletes that main content. And I'm going to hit the enter key a couple times just to give myself some extra space. I'm going to hit the up arrow, so I'm right in the middle now of my main content. And what I want to do is I want to insert a div. So we can do that a couple different ways. We could go to insert, and we could switch from bootstrap components to HTML, and we could select a div. You can see the div is the first element in the list. Or we could just, from the insert menu, choose HTML and choose a div, or just right here at the top, div. You can see that div is very commonly used. It's very easy to access. It's probably one of the most frequently used elements in creating a website, because divs can be used as multi-purpose containers. So let's click on div. Alright, so we get our little div dialog box. We're just going to say OK, and now we've inserted a new div. It says content for new div goes here. Now what we want to insert inside of this div is an image. So I'm going to go back over here to Files. Now right now we haven't really added any images to our website. And the first thing I'm going to do before I actually add any images is add a container, a folder for my images. So I'm going to click on the root directory for my website. That's that folder that's at the very top. This is the folder that contains all the files that are in my website. I'm going to right click and choose new folder and type in images, IMAGES. Now what I want to add to my images folder is the hero image I created in week 3, and I believe that I have that out here on my desktop. And here it is. It says hero_image. I'm going to drag that straight from my desktop to my images folder. And when I do that, Dreamweaver actually copied the image from the desktop to my root directory folder. So actually it's on my computer twice now. In the original location and now inside of Dreamweaver. When we move files around in this manner, Dreamweaver always does good file management and makes sure that all the files that our website is referencing are contained inside of the root directory for our website. So this is the file that I want to add to my website, hero image. So how do I get that onto my web page? Well, we've got this placeholder content. We're in code view right now. We've got this placeholder content that says content for new div goes here. I don't need that placeholder content. So I've highlighted it, and I'm just going to hit delete. Now I'm going to insert an image, and I do that by going under the insert menu and choosing image. And then Dreamweaver asks, well, what's the image that you want to insert? and I can see that it's already selected, or it's already showing me inside of my images folder this hero image. Or I could just drag my hero image straight over and drop it into place this way. All works the same way. I'm going to hit undo, and I'm going to use my insert image command again, and I'm going to select hero image. If you're in the root directory of your website, this is what you would see. Then you would double click on the images folder, and you're going to choose hero image. So now we're ready to insert a hero image, and notice that Dreamweaver, when we bring the image in, has given us the height and the width of the image. We want to get rid of these numbers because these numbers will fix the height and the width of the image. So I'm just going to double click on the width, and I'm going to hit delete, and I'm going to double click on the height, and I'm going to hit delete. Alt is the alternate tag for the image, and I'm going to call it image of colored pencils. It's just a little description in case for some reason the image can't load. It's just a little description of the image. So let's click over here to see what this looks like in live view. Doesn't look that great because it's kind of very large and it's taking up a whole lot of room. So how do I fix it? Well, we're going to write a CSS rule that changes the width of the image. But before I write that rule, I actually want to give my div here, the div that's holding everything, I'd like to give that an ID. Why am I going to give that an ID? Because if I give this div an ID, I make it unique. We can have a lot of divs on a web page. I want to be able to target this div and say this div is somehow special. And so I'm going to give this div an ID of hero image. How do I give this div an ID of hero image? Well, we could create an ID in our CSS designer, # hero image, and then assign the div to that ID. Or here's another way we can do it. You can see when I have the div selected, we've got this little blue div tag over here, and there's a plus sign. It says add class or ID. So I'm going to click on that plus sign, and I'm going to type # HERO for hero, and then capital IMAGE. And again, we call this camel typing, where we start with a lowercase letter, then an uppercase letter. And I'm going to hit enter. When I do that, Dreamweaver is ready to write a new CSS rule for hero image. And it's saying, where do you want to save this? I could save it in nav.css or styles.css. And I'm going to choose styles.css because that's the file where I'm writing all of my unique custom rules for my website. So at this point, all you need to do is just click somewhere off the image, and these parameters that we've selected will be stored. And we don't need to worry about media query because we're not doing anything with media queries at this point. So just click anywhere. And notice in our related files menu here at the top, styles.css has an asterisk next to it. If I click on that, we can see here in our split view, we can see the code. It's created an ID for us. We know it's an ID because it begins with a # and it says hero image. And currently there are no rules. It just says hero image, and that's it. But this is when we told Dreamweaver we want to create a new ID and we selected styles.css, it wrote that rule inside of this file. Okay, so I'm going to hit save all for now, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to look at how we actually apply some rules to this.